Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. Today, I've got some new mods for you guys who have an Ally or an Ally X. So no matter which device you have, as long as you got one of these, I've got something spicy for you that you just might like. Also, we're going to talk about the D-pad mod instructions. So we're going to talk about two mods. This is a 2-for-1 special. You guys love a good deal? Me too. That's why I'm giving you a good deal with a 2-for-1. Let's dive right on in. Scoot that out the way. Scoot this down. And we'll scoot up the channel OG members. Thank you guys so much for making mods like this happen. Your direct support goes directly back into the channel in the form of mods. And here's a new one for you guys. As you can see, what's different about this Ally? Well, if you haven't already noticed, it's these buttons. These are the stock ABXY buttons right here. They look cool. They're nice. I like them. But how about that? Some galaxy purple buttons with black lettering. Well, purple's not your style? No worries. I got something for you. This is from a modding business on Etsy called Sakura Mods, or Sakura Modding. If I butchered the name, I'll put it up above. Go check them out. They make awesome mods like this for your retro handhelds, for your newer handhelds. They make buttons. High quality custom buttons. I had these specifically made because I really wanted purple. I saw they had a lot of cool colors on other handhelds, but for the Ally and the Ally X, they did not have multiple colors like I want, so I was asking them for a while, hey, can you make me some purple buttons? I think I can get enough people that will see this and will want buttons for themselves, whether it be purple, whether it be whatever. So please, can you make these for me? And after begging and pleading, no, it didn't take that much. It definitely took me a couple tries, and they went out of their way and did something special. So I just want to get you guys to show some love to them. This is not a sponsored video. I did buy these with my own money. I'm not going to get any kickbacks, nor do I want any. I just want to support small businesses, and that's the best way to do it. So inside the little case, I'm guessing everyone will get one of these. Comes in a bag. It comes from France with love.
Oh, France. Well, that explains everything.
Open it up. You've got a bag of buttons. I've got multiple buttons for multiple reasons, but you get a microfiber cloth right here. But as I mentioned earlier, if purple is not your style and you want black, they already have black buttons on their Etsy page, but with PlayStation logos or Xbox logos. These were custom made, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to run black or if I wanted to run purple, but either way I wanted to run black and purple. So I love these. These look really, really good. These are for the Ally X, the taller ones. The shorter ones, like these right here, are going to be for the OG. So like I said, we'll show you some OG love here by showing you these buttons. I'll have to do a part 2 video putting them on the OG, but for now we're going to do the X, and then we're going to do the D-pad mod instructions, because you have to remove the motherboard for the most part to get access to this stuff. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive on in. So you want to turn your device completely off, of course. That's a no-brainer. And then you'll want to remove your case. If you haven't seen this, this is the new JSOX mod case. This thing is awesome. I absolutely love it. I still use it. It's still great. No problems with it. It works really good. Temperatures are still amazing. Haven't seen any decrease, or I haven't seen any increase in temperatures. If you want to get a discount on this, CPPC Tech, all one word, will get you a discount. All right, let's turn this off, and we'll remove the case, and we'll go from there. So removing this is a lot easier than the previous JSOX mod case for the OG Ally. And a lot of people are very, very picky and peculiar about this little rubber lip right here. Because it's made of a softer material up here, it makes it easier to install and remove. If it was made out of a harder material, it would probably fit just a little bit more snug along this lip, but if you work this in and kind of stretch it out beforehand, you can actually get it to fit like really, really good, as best as you possibly can imagine. If you have OCD and touching this bothers you, then you know that may be a thing. I have seen a few people's, you know, kind of bother them, but it doesn't bother me at all in the slightest because it fits actually pretty good. Okay, so I've already got the screws removed. You've got screw here, screw here, screw here. This screw is captive. It's gonna stay in there. If I need to tell you how to remove the screws, you need to stop. Not being rude, I just know if you struggle with removing screws, you're definitely gonna struggle with the rest of this stuff. So you wanna get your fingernail kind of right along these edges right here. It's tricky. Ugh. Careful, because as you know, or you should know, inside of here is a ribbon cable. You'll want to flip that little lever up, wiggle this out, and set your back plate to the side. Inside of your ally, the first thing you're going to want to do is take this power cable right here and unplug it. To do that, I shouldn't have to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways. It's the same as all the other battery connectors. You press this little silver tab down, and then this battery connector will just come out like that. So you can get your fingernail on one side and kind of lift it up. You can pull it that way, but I don't recommend it. I recommend trying to get your fingernail and removing it just like that. The next step is going to be removing your NVMe drive. And don't lose your screw. Set that aside. Make room for more screws too. Go ahead and pull your NVMe drive. Set it aside. Set your screw with it so you don't lose it. And then go ahead and remove these screws right here. Remove the battery screws. You're going to remove the fan screws, joystick screws, and you're going to undo some ribbon cables. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit so I don't waste your time, but just follow along. Now you got your battery removed. And now you'll go ahead and remove this fan screw right here. Some of this stuff might be optional, but I'm really just doing my due diligence to make sure that we don't run into any snags and to make it as easy as I can. So some screws you can get away with without removing them, and that's okay if you want to experiment and try, but this is just what I do to make things easier on myself. Now the next thing is this little ribbon cable here. You flip the lever towards you, pull the ribbon cable out. You got to push up a little bit. All right, so now that you've got the right joystick over here, which is actually your left, we'll do the other side as well. Now remember your ribbon cable, flip the lever to the left. Now the next step is going to be more ribbon cables. So you've got a ribbon cable here, flip that lever up, gently pull that out, kind of tuck this in there like so if you can. You can remove the other side of it, but you can get that just tucked in there. It'll kind of help you out a little. It'll probably just end up popping back up anyways. Now you've got a little cable here. You can wiggle down with these two little tabs right here. Wiggle, wiggle. Pop this out of the way. You've got another ribbon cable over here. Flip the lever. Wiggle the tab. There you go. Now you can remove these triggers. Only got one screw on this left one over here. Okay, set that aside. Same on this side. You got two screws on this side actually. Say the same, but it's actually two. Okay, so here we go. So you've got another little cable up here at the top. This cable here is going to flip up. It's just a little connector. Just flip it with your fingernail. Now, this part is necessary. It can be tricky, but it's pretty easy. You want to take this fan off, but see that tape that came off? This tape is attached to this part right here. So I wouldn't recommend removing the fan connector because it's kind of a pain. So just toss the fan to the side. Take your Wi-Fi connectors, pop them up with your fingernail just like that. These are a little tricky to get back on, so just be careful. You move this out of the way. This is just a little cover, like a tape cover. You'll peel that back. Set this aside. There's a little flipper lever here. You'll flip it towards you just with your fingernail. Probably a little tight. And then you'll wiggle that ribbon cable out, pull it towards you. There's one screw right here that says fan. Do not forget that screw at all. You'll have a really bad day. Okay. Once that screw is out, then you'll take the trigger buttons, by the way. If you have a trigger that feels mushy, just reseating these a lot of times can make them feel like brand new again, because it did for mine earlier when I did this. So now you take this trigger, pull it out, and there you go. You're pretty much ready to remove the motherboard. You can pick it up at the bottom right here and gently place your fan over here. Make sure no ribbon cables are snagged. You can gently remove the motherboard. There you go. So there's the motherboard right there. If you want to see the back side of the motherboard, here's a backside view. Now here's the important part about the D-pad mod. When you remove the stock D-pad, you will need to get this 3D printed. You will need to use the magnets that you salvage off of an Elite Series D-pad. The instructions are the same for the OG Ally. You'll just press fit those in, no glue needed. But the one difference with this is the little nubby right here. I have double-sided taped with 0.1 millimeter or 0.2 millimeter double-sided tape right there in the center of the board. You can glue it or tape it to the back side of this, flat side to flat side. It's perfectly fine if you want to do that. I think I just like the way it feels better like this and like that. So you try it however way you want, but the official instructions do say to do it the other way. I did it this way, but it works good for me. Now we'll put this back, and I'm going to show you quickly how to swap out the buttons. So here are the buttons. Pretty easy. Just pop them out like that. Put in your other buttons. So for example, this is our purple button with the black letters. If we wanted to put in the black ones with the purple letters, just pop it in just like that. It's only going to fit in there one way, so just pay attention to how it fits in there. So I'm going to put this back because I really like the purple, so we're just going to leave the purple for now, and then we're going to put everything back in the reverse order. It's pretty simple, but I've done this a couple times off camera, so you might need to really make sure you watch this video a couple of times, or find other disassembly videos and make sure that I didn't skip any steps. Make sure that you're seeing all the different angles and you're comfortable taking this thing apart, because I guarantee you someone's going to break their device doing this. I just guarantee it. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, someone's going to do this and their device will not power back on for one reason or another. And I'm going to explain a few things that can help you with that as we put it back together to ensure that that doesn't happen as much as I can. To do that, first, you want to start and make sure you move all your cables back out of the way so you don't miss anything. You don't want to put this thing back together and forget a ribbon cable. So the power button connector, if it's not pressed on just right, it's not going to power on. Any of your controller cables or anything like that, that's going to prevent it as well. And then one other thing when we get to the back will prevent it too. So let's go ahead and move all this out of the way. Take this little ribbon cable here. Just try to gently feed everything back in the way it should go. Okay. It's all lining back up pretty good. Some stuff you have to wiggle back in place. Just feeling for those buttons, making sure nothing popped off. Yep, nothing popped off. So the first thing you're going to want to put back in is going to be this screw. I'm glad I ended up redoing this video because the first one was about an hour and a half long, and I just don't think anybody would have wanted to sit through that whole thing. So I'm really glad I redid this video. It was very, very, very challenging removing this morning when I was just ultimately tired and didn't quite feel good. All right, so the first thing we're going to put back is going to be the screen cable. Push up, flip your lever down. The next is going to be the Wi-Fi antennas, which are pretty easy for me because I've done them a bunch on different devices, but it's essentially just a little circle, and the circle fits up on the smaller circle. It's kind of like a cap, basically. It's very hard to describe, but I might have to move this out of the way. Yes. And if your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth doesn't work, well, you've got it reversed, or you've got it wrong, or something. You just might need to take this thing apart and reconnect your Bluetooth antenna or your Wi-Fi antenna. All right, so now it's on there pretty good. It's not going anywhere. We're gonna take our fan. We're gonna put the fan back, and we're gonna put the screws on there first. Actually, I lied. We're gonna put these on here first before I forget. We're going to put our triggers back on. Make sure those are torqued down evenly. And remember, this one over here only has one screw. So don't panic if you're only seeing one screw. Okay. Now the next part is joysticks. Before we put the joystick on, let's go ahead and put on this ribbon cable right here. Flip our lever down. Over here, look at there. See, I already made a mistake. I could probably save it. There we go. I saved it. So this ribbon cable had gotten stuck under the motherboard. I'm not sure if you caught that or not, but I'm glad I did before I put it back together. Stuff like that is the reason why your device might not work, might not power on. Simple stuff like forgetting things. Okay, we'll put this joystick board back in there. And you'll probably have to recalibrate your joysticks. If so, that's totally fine. I would probably expect that you would have to. And we're going to talk about the joystick mod later. Again, I am working on a solution because I'm sure if you've done the joystick mod, you've probably noticed that calibrating them is very, very finicky and hard to do sometimes. Like for some people, it's really easy. It's perfect. But for mine, it's been very difficult for some reason. My left joystick just does not want to calibrate most of the time. And there's a lot of the top part that is not showing up, and I have to force it basically to go all the way to the top. And it's kind of annoying. I am going to order a new board and see if that helps resolve it, because mine even does it when it's using the stock joystick. And I've seen that with a few other people's as well. So I'm starting to think that it could just be maybe wore out and I may need to replace it or something like that, because I've removed it so many times and beat that thing up, no pun intended. I just really think I may have kind of pushed it to its limits by removing it a bazillion times, and if so, it's kind of my fault at that point. All right, now you're gonna do the ribbon cable over here. Pop that on. And then I think the next thing we do is put on the screen cable up here. There we go. Just feel it drop in there and connect. You'll kind of feel it. You have to just feel for it. It takes a little bit of experience to know when those are pushed on all the way. Then we'll take this cable over here, plug that in like so. I think the battery goes on next, and then we can put our little vibrator motors back on. Plug this connector in. And now we can put the NVMe drive back on and the back plate back on and power this bad boy back on. I think that's everything. Wow, I did this in record time. I only did it 10 times off camera. I swear. Only 10. Don't feel bad if this takes 2 hours. Trust me, you're not alone if this thing takes you a long time. Take your time. Get some coffee. Make sure you got plenty of sleep the night before. And it's not too hard. Putting this cable back on is a little tricky sometimes, but if you just kind of roll your thumbnail from left to right and scrape it, then you can take that metal clip and push it up. And remember, when you're taking it off, you push it down. You've got to make sure that you push down to get that clip off, push back up in order to seat it back in place. Now we're going to put on our connector for the back plate. We're going to put this back on. If you don't have this seated on there just right, your controller will not work and your handheld may not even power on. There's actually a light sensor right here. You can cover this up like I did with a black piece of tape, and that'll prevent it from needing to be plugged back up when you put the back plate back on. Because when you remove the back plate on these, it has a light sensor right there, just like the OG Ally did. So whenever you actually go to hit that power button, you'll actually need to plug it in to a power source for it to send power to the device. Luckily, I've put tape over it, so I don't need to do it with mine. All right, so now that my device is powering back on, let's go ahead and check our device and the buttons and make sure everything works properly. So what I like to do is pull up Gamepad Tester. I'll show you the website and how I use it. Okay, this is the Gamepad Tester website. Just make sure that you are in fact in gamepad mode right there. When you press your Armory Create button, you can go ahead and start pressing buttons right here. And you can see that clearly all these ABXY buttons work. My D-pad works, joysticks, everything works as intended. And before I took this apart, this trigger button was very, very mushy and it wasn't clicky anymore. So I do recommend reseating this, especially if you have that mushy issue. That is the solution that worked awesome for me, because I now have equally clicky buttons. And if you have squeaky joysticks, go check out my repair guide for that. Take a little paintbrush, some keyboard lube of choice. Keyboard lube, guys, keyboard lube. Don't use WD-40. Don't use household lubes. Don't use lube beside the bed.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Don't, please. Please don't use car grease or anything like that. Keyboard lube. It's safe, it's effective, it goes on clear, it stays in place. It's very safe. If you have a squeaky D-pad, by the way, you can take the paintbrush and roll it around on the sides of each one of these and then work it around, work it around, work it around. If that doesn't fix it, take it apart and lube around the housing. you basically are getting squeaking from the plastic on the plastic. So as long as you actually clean that off, make sure there's no dust in there, and then lube it up, you will make a world of difference on your device putting lube on here. This is completely safe and effective. If you've got squeaking or sticking on buttons, you can do the same thing with those on the insides where the plastic meets the plastic. That'll make it work a lot better, in my opinion. Well, guys, that's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. That's all she wrote. You got to see the D-pad mod. You got to see the button mod. It's the same thing for this. If you haven't seen the video for the OG D-pad, go watch it. You can do these buttons the same way. It's a little trickier getting the motherboard out, but it's essentially the same video. Go watch if you want to do it for the OG. I'll do a part 2 where we will do those, and there is another mod that I am working on. I'm just waiting on Kira to finish the files, and I think we're going to do another mod to this, and then we'll also do that mod for the buttons on here. So you'll get another 2-for-1 video coming soon as Kira has finished the mod that me and her have been working on. Hopefully she can do that. If not, it's fine. Stuff happens. But look, guys, there's one more thing I want to talk to you about, and it's really cool, and I'm glad you stuck around to the end. But are you ready for it? It's going to be one of the coolest things you have ever seen. Hold on. Well, since you liked my 2-for-1 mod video, I'm going to give you a 3-for-1 special right here. This is the new UGREEN UNO Charger. It's got a cute little face right here, letting you know it's in standby mode, but check out its party tricks. If you are an Apple user, and you probably are if you're watching this channel, if not, this should charge wirelessly with Android phones as well, but it's really designed for Apple users in mind. You could take your AirPods or your AirPod Pros that support wireless charging, pop those in right there. You see the orange light is now lit up. Boom, it's charging. And now, if you have a magnetically charged attachable case thingy, mabobber, you can just pop it right there, and now my phone just starts magically charging wirelessly. No wires, no nothing. And if you have an Apple Watch, you could plug it in right here on this side charging port as I throw everything to the side. And if you do need some cables, they even have cables that have the cute little face as well, so you can match your Uno Charger's face at the same time. Very, very cool. And if you don't have Apple products and you don't have a need for these wireless chargers, no worries. They have you covered. Whoa, what's this? What? It's a Uno Charger that charges at 100 watts. Whoa! This thing will charge your ROG Ally X, your Ally, headphones, tablets, phones, you name 3 USB-C outs, and then a USB-A. So pretty much everything you can charge with this small, cute little block right here. And like I said, its face will change, letting you know the status. And another party trick, you guys know I love my party trick. Boom. Detachable feet with magnets, so you can stick them to the side of something and you won't lose those feet. Freaking awesome. Thank you, UGREEN, for sending this stuff over. I've been loving this battery bank. If you haven't seen me talk about this thing before, stay tuned. I think I'm going to do a deep dive on this battery bank again because it really deserves a second look, and comparing it to my other 25,000 milliamp battery bank. And if you want to get any of the stuff on the desk below, check the links in the description. And once again, thank you to UGREEN for sending this stuff over. All right, guys. Well, look, thank you so much for waiting till the end. You guys know you are the GOAT because you made it this far. I absolutely love all of you and appreciate all of you. You guys make this whole thing happen, and I enjoy my time with you guys, but it has come to an end, and I got to get this video out. I will be working on the final steps of my laptop review, so I promise that is next. I really was just super excited to get these buttons right here installed. And man, oh man, it was a nightmare, but it was so worth it. Absolutely so worth it. If you think it was worth it, drop in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you made it to the end, say UGREEN love, button love, Sakura mod love. Just drop some love below, guys. And until the next one, I hope you have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night.